Hey guys, it's Vandiezo back at it again with another Cardfight Vanguard deck profile. I hope you guys enjoy. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate Patreon, and let's get started. So this time, it's my very new upgraded Genesis deck. This is not a Genesis deck that most people would build. Well, okay, it's one that most people would build, but not the way I built it, and it's unique to my playstyle, and it can be still useful. So our starting Vanguard is Pan of New Style, the standard when wrote upon draw one, and when the quick shield comes out for when it just becomes a plus 5k shield. Even though this thing is a starting Vanguard and it will only give me a 5k shield, that 5k shield may come and save my life one day. I mean, every time I seem to say that statement, it does happen, so hoping that it does. Now on to our triggers. I run 12 crit because I believe you don't need PGs. That is my personal belief. I know that's going to come back to bite me in the ass someday, but 12 crit, this one being my particular favorite, just by aesthetic alone, and yeah, 12 crit. Try and beat me with that. And this seems to work out a lot. I remember the last time I used this deck, I got a crit every single drive check, so yeah. Witch of Pots Laurier is our heal trigger, classic 20k shield and just free heal. Now onto our grade 1s, where everything starts going different from what normal people would run. 3 copies of White Wall Sorcerer, Vajiva. I want to make sure I got that right. Yeah, Vajiva. 10k shield, auto Guardian Circle. When it's placed, Counterblast 1, it gets plus 10k shield. Then if your Vanguard's an Astro Poet, aka the Ace grade 3s, you get an Imaginary Gift Force. If you don't know what this deck is already, this is Uranus, where essentially you just stack forces, get giant Valkyrion out, and then wreck them with Quintet Drive. Well, this helps because it's a free guard. It's a free 20k shield basically for the cost of Counterblast 1, and you get an Imaginary Gift Force out of it. And this deck isn't very Counterblast heavy. So I feel like the Counterblast 1 is really worth it, and it's not that expensive, especially for what it does. And it has come back to help me a lot lately. 3 copies of Saturn of Opportune Time, so 10k shield. Continuous rearguard circle. If your astral plane has a unit on it, this unit gets plus 5k power, so 13k base when attacking. That can be useful. And then auto rearguard circle. When your Vanguard is placed, discard 1 and rest this unit. You get an imaginary gift. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. If your astral poet is placed on Vanguard circle, discard 1 and rest this unit, and it gets an imaginary gift force. That's useful because that's just a free force gift, and all of my Astro Poets units can just get a Force gift by either Counterblasting 1 or Soul Blasting 2. So that's effectively 3 Force gifts just by placing 1 unit. So that can be helpful. And why I would run it at 4, but I felt like my grade 2s were slightly more important, so I just chose not to. 4 copies of Atlas of Heavenly Spear. 10k shield, 8k base. Continuous auto Vanguard Circle. When placed, Soul Charge 1. I'm not against it. I just don't use it. I know once the new Uranus comes to America, that probably will be the reason why I run it, besides the other skill. But I probably would write it, but I only write it now if I need to and I don't have a choice. Because I just like its second skill, where act, rearguard circle, counterblast 1, shove it to soul, and you get to draw 1. Then, if your Vanguard's an Astro Poet, get Imaginary Gift Force. Okay, not every grade 3 in this deck is an Astro Poet. So that's not necessarily a good thing, but it's not a bad thing either. Because that just means, it's guaranteed that you're going to get to draw 1. So it's a free draw no matter what. But then, if you have an Astro Poet, you get a Force. 5 of my 8 grade 3s are Astro Poets. So there's a chance I will draw into them. It's just preferably that I get the Force gift, but I can still get the other thing. And my other grade 3 isn't that bad at all. It's useful. Now to our grade 2s. 3 copies of Pluto of Deeply Laid... Okay, I need to read this. Deeply Laid Stratagems. Yeah. 5k shield, 9k base. At the end of the battle that it attacked a Vanguard, Counterblast 1, put it into your soul, and one of your units get plus 10k and until the end of the turn. Then if your Vanguard's an Astro Poet, get another Force gift. Useful, get your Force gifts, get you another 10k power, so it can be really good with that early rush. If you're on grade 3 first and you just can't get Valkyrion, it can help you get another Force gift for next turn, and it can just help you stack your power for, I guess, a rush that your opponent might just have to guard at some point. And then 4 copies of what you could say is my Ace Grade 2. I don't know between this one and the next one. Strongbow of Starry Night Ulysses. 5k shield, 10k base, rearguard circle auto. When at the end of the battle that attacked a Vanguard, place it into Soul, draw a card, then Soul Charge 1. This deck does not have a Soul problem anymore after this card. Literally beforehand, it's not like it would have had a Soul problem. It's just that I never had enough Soul to be safe, besides with Valkyrion. Yeah, this fixes that. Not to mention it's a free draw, so if I'm missing Valkyrion, it can just help me get it. And it's just useful all around. I remember the first time I used this deck, it got me to 11 Soul on its own, so I'm pretty grateful for that. Especially when I kept Soul Blasting every now and then, so that's useful. 4 copies of our last Grade 2, and the thing I said is probably my Ace Grade 2. Prometheus of Dancing Lights. 5k shield, 10k base, Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. When it attacks, when it's placed, you look at the top 2, place one into your Soul and the other at the top of your deck. And that is just useful because you can effectively just stack your triggers, and you have to place one into your Soul. So if there's 2 triggers, which I've been in that situation more times than I should, it's not that good, but you can still stack your triggers and get a free Soul Charge off it, even if it might hurt you in the end. And then auto Rearguard Circle. When it attacks, if your opponent's Vanguard is Grade 3 or greater, you choose your Vanguard, and this and that unit get plus 5k. So your Vanguard gets plus 5, not like it matters because it's probably going to be hitting for somewhere in the 60s at the very least, and this unit becomes a 15, so it can hit anything. Now on to our Grade 3s. This, I only have one copy of that is badly damaged by my own doing on accident. Quaking Heavenly Dragon, Astralis Dragon. I'm only running it at 1 because I can't find a place where I can buy another 3 copies of. So if I would, I could. If I could, I would, but I can't. So I'm making do with what I have. So anyways, its skill. Continuous, it's also an Astropode, which is important to mention because Continuous Vanguard Circle. If your back row center rearguard circle you turn that into an Astral Plane. An Astral Plane is what I'll get into later. But anyways, act Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, counterblast 1, it gets a Force Gift. And then act once per turn on Vanguard Circle. If your Astral Plane has a unit on it, Soul Blast 1, draw 1. So it's a free draw. This is an Astropode, so literally every other card in this deck supports it to so many extents. And just being able to net a lot of Force Gifts is easily. And that Soul Blast thing is not a problem with this deck, as you can see. 3 copies of the Grade 3 that I would replace for another 3 copies of Astraeos, but it's still useful nonetheless. Neptunus of Pristine Flows. Imaginary Gift Force, Grade 3. Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, when it attacks, while boosted, discard 1, and it gets an Imaginary Gift Force on the Vanguard Circle. That's useful, because regardless, you get a Force Gift, so it may not be an Astropode, but it can at least bring you closer to that 5 Imaginary Gifts, since to get Astralis Dragon's effect off, you need 5 Imaginary Gifts, and same for my next card. So that's useful. And then act Rearguard Circle. If your Astral Plane has a unit on it, Soul Blast 2, this unit and that unit gets plus 15k. So as we all know, Valkyrion has 70k base. That's 85 right away. This becomes 28. If I remember correctly, if you have 2 out, you can use their effects. You can use both of their effects. So that means Valkyrion could just go ahead and hit for 100 right off the bat for the cost of Soul Blast 4. I feel like that's worth it. Unless your opponent has a PG, then in that case, you wasted 4 Soul Blasts. But this deck can not be hurt by that for some reason. And now to technically our Ace Grade 3, even though that role is fit by Astraeos more. Gleaming Lord, Uranus. And I don't know if this is special or not, because I got this from the trial deck, and I didn't know if you're supposed to get this. So if I wasn't supposed to get this, well, I'm lucky son of a bitch. And if I was supposed to get it, well, all my hopes and dreams are dead. So it has the same skill as Astralis Dragon, where continuous on Vanguard Circle, if you have 5 or more Imaginary Gifts, an Astral Plane becomes active on the back center, which I will get into 2 cards from now. And auto Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, when it's placed, Soul Blast 2, get a Force Gift. So even though it's on place and not once per turn, it's still useful because it can be used on Rearguard Circle, unlike how Astralis is restricted to Vanguard. So if you're missing 1 Force Gift, you could just go, if you have Astralis and Gleaming Lord in your hand, and you're if you ride if you ride Uranus, you're going to be missing one force gift. You ride Astrios, get a force gift, use Astrios, get another force gift, and then call Uranus and then get another. Which is useful because, it gives you options and more annoying things to do on your grade 3 turns. And our last unit for this deck, Giant Deity of Distant Road, Valkyrian! I'm swapping between calling it Valkyrian and Valkyrion because of dub reasons. So, continuous, this card cannot be ridden. I mean, there's a way you can technically ride it if it didn't have that clause, but yeah. Auto Rearguard Circle. When it's not on an astral plane circle, retire this unit. So it must be on the astral plane. It's the only card in this deck that can exist on the astral plane. And then when it's placed, okay, this is a long skill, but I remember the gist of it. When it's placed, you look at the top 5, you pick a card from among them, get rid of it, shuffle your deck. The card that you got rid of, this unit's drive checks becomes as many as that unit. So if it's a grade 2, it gets twin drive. If it's a grade 3, it gets triple drive. If it's another Valkyrian, you get quintet drive, because grade 5 right there. And then 70k base, just for all galore, because this is the most scariest thing in this deck. And if your opponent doesn't have a PG, they will probably lose. Now on to our astral plane that I've been talking about for so long now. Astral plane. This is this image. This rearguard circle is an astral plane. Astral planes have the following rules. A grade is ignored when calling an astral deity, so you normally can't call grades that are higher than your vanguard. Yeah, that excuse is done with because of that. This unit on the astral plane can attack from the back row and perform drive checks, so possible quintet drive, but you place all those drive checks into your soul instead of your hand, so that's fair enough because otherwise 5 drive checks to hand would be broken. And then at the end of the turn, you place the unit on the astral plane at the bottom of your deck. So Valkyrian will go back. So it's not like it's dying and your opponent can't kill it. It just leaves the field. And you can just get it back already, but still. It's useful. You only can have one copy until they make reasons for us to run more. But I mean, to be fair, this thing is broken. Also, anything that's not an astral deity will immediately die on that circle. So if you call anything else to that circle besides Valkyrian, it will die. And now on to our force gifts that I run 10 of because I forgot to buy an extra 5. Okay, I'm just going to set this out so everyone can see it. 4 force gifts, 4 force gifts, and then 2 force gifts. So 10 force gifts in total. I forgot to buy another 2. It's fine though, because this deck works perfectly fine with 10. Preferably if I had 15, that would be nice. So that was the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. This deck is very aggressive, as you all can see, and it has decent amount of resources, except for draw triggers, and it can still work out in your favor sometimes. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and donate Patreon. I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguard.